The mountain path is steep, and the air is thick with a silver mist that clings to your skin like a damp silk robe. You feel the weight of each footfall pressing into the cold, damp earth as you climb higher and higher into the clouds. The world below has faded into a distant memory of noise and light, leaving only the quiet rhythm of your own breath. You reach the wooden gate, and the wood is old and weathered and gray, with the grain of the cedar rising up in ridges under your fingertips. It feels solid and cool and certain beneath your hand as you push it open and hear the faint sigh of the hinges. The courtyard is silent, and the stones are smooth from centuries of soft rain and careful footsteps. You walk slowly across the courtyard, and the sound of your movement is no louder than a fallen leaf sliding across the ground. Ahead of you, a single paper lantern hangs from the eaves of the small stone hut, casting a warm amber glow onto the mist. The light is soft and hazy, and it gathers in pools on the dark wood of the porch. You step up onto the wood, and it is dry and warm, and the scent of old cedar rises up to meet you. You reach the door, and you pause, and you listen to the stillness of the mountain. There is no wind, hear only the heavy silence of the trees and the slow pulse of the light within the lantern. You open the door, and the air inside is warm, and it smells of sandalwood and dried ink, and the faint smoke of a pine fire. The room is small and safe, and the walls are lined with scrolls of paper that hold the shadows of the flickering fire. You close the door behind you, and the click of the latch is the sound of the world closing away and leaving you in peace. You are safe here, and you are warm here, and there is nothing for you to do but be still. You see the fire in the small stone hearth, and the flames are low and orange, and they dance slowly over the charred logs. The logs are black and glowing, and they pulse with a deep, steady heat that reaches out to touch your face and your hands. You move toward the fire, and you feel the warmth soaking into your clothes and loosening the tension in your shoulders. You sink down onto the thick woven mat on the floor, and the straw is firm and supportive beneath your weight. You feel the floor holding you up, and you feel the weight of your body becoming heavy and settled. Beside you is a low wooden table, and the surface is dark and polished until it shines like deep, still water. On the table sits an ink stone of black slate, and it is smooth and cold and waiting for the water to touch it. A single brush rests on a porcelain stand, and the hairs of the brush are soft and white and perfectly aligned. You look at the brush, and you see the fine detail of the bamboo handle and the way the light catches the golden nodes of the wood. The lantern light flickers, and the shadows move across the floor in a slow and rhythmic dance. You breathe in the scent of the room, and it is the smell of 1,000 years of quiet work and steady hands. The sandalwood is sweet and heavy, and it fills your lungs with a sense of ancient calm. The pine smoke is thin and blue, and it drifts in ribbons toward the ceiling where the rafters are dark with age. You are here now, and the journey is over, and the night is long, and the mountain is silent. You feel the stillness in your bones, and you feel the quiet in your mind, like a blanket of fresh snow. The fire pops softly, and a single spark rises up and vanishes into the dark chimney. You watch the embers, and they are like tiny stars glowing in the heart of the hearth. The heat is steady, and the light is soft, and your eyes begin to feel heavy with the comfort of the room. You see the ink stone again, and you see the way the light reflects off the smooth surface of the slate. Everything is in its place, and everything is as it should be in this small and quiet world. You are the only one here, and the silence is your friend, and the warmth is your companion. You feel the edges of your thoughts softening and blurring like ink dropped into a bowl of clear water. The world outside is far away, and the mist has swallowed the path and the trees and the sky. There is only this room and this fire and this moment of perfect and absolute safety. You are settling into the earth, and you are settling into the silence, and you are settling into the dark. The rhythm of the fire is the rhythm of your heart, and the rhythm of the light is the rhythm of your breath. You are here, and you are still, and you are ready to begin the long and quiet work of the night. The walls of the hut are thick and made of heavy stone that keeps out the chill of the high mountain air. You can feel the solidity of the stone behind you, and it is a wall between you and the rest of the universe. The paper screens are white and translucent, and they glow with the soft orange light of the fire, like the inner skin of a shell. You trace the pattern of the wood grain on the table, with your eyes following every curve and every line. The ink stick lies beside the stone, and it is black and matte, and it smells of soot and musk and history. You imagine the many hands that have held this stick, and the many characters it has birthed onto the white paper. The paper itself is stacked in a neat pile, and it is handmade and rough at the edges, with the fibers of the mulberry bark visible in the light. It is a pale cream color, and it looks soft like the wing of a moth resting in the shadows. You feel the stillness deepening as the night presses against the windows, and the lantern burns low and steady. There is a bowl of clear water on the table, and the surface is so still that it looks like a piece of glass. You see your own reflection in the water, and it is a soft and blurred shape that moves with the flickering of the flames. The air is still, and the silence is heavy, and the warmth of the fire is a physical presence that wraps around you. You are sinking deeper into the mat, and the straw feels like it is molding itself to the shape of your body. Every muscle is letting go, and every bone is becoming heavy like the stones of the mountain outside. The smell of the ink is a memory of old libraries and quiet temples where time does not move at all. You are here in the heart of the mountain, and the mountain is holding you in its cold and stony arms. The fire is your sun, and the lantern is your moon, and the room is your entire world. You feel the peace of the repetitive strokes that are yet to come, and the quiet joy of the simple task. Nothing is rushed here, and nothing is urgent, because the mountain has all the time in the world. The mist outside is a curtain that has been drawn shut, and you are safe inside the fold of the mountain. You breathe out, and the breath is slow and long, and it joins the smoke of the pine fire in the air. You are still, and you are warm, and you are safe, and you are home in the quiet of the night. The shadows on the wall are long and thin, and they move like the branches of the trees in a gentle wind. You watch them, and your eyes become heavier and heavier with every pulse of the firelight. The silence is not empty, but full of the sound of the mountain breathing through the cracks in the stone. It is a low and humming sound that vibrates in the center of your chest and tells you that you are grounded. You are of the stone and of the wood and of the ancient ink that waits on the table. The light is an amber honey that coats the room and makes everything look soft and old and precious. You feel the weight of the night, and it is a comfortable weight, like a heavy quilt made of wool and time. There is no noise from the world of men, and no light from the cities. Below, only the fire and the mist. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, and the moment is stretching out into an endless sea of calm. You see the brush again, and the way the shadows of the bristles are cast onto the white paper like a forest. Everything is waiting for you to begin, but there is no hurry, and there is no pressure to start. The waiting is as much of the craft as the doing, and you are learning to love the waiting. You are learning to love the stillness, and the way the cold air outside makes the warmth inside feel like a gift. The lantern flickers once, and then settles back into its steady and comforting glow. You are the master of this space, and the master of this silence, and the master of your own breath. The world is a distant dream, and this room is the only reality that matters now. You are safe, and you are still, and the night is yours to weave into the patterns of the ink. The fire burns on, and the mist stays thick, and the mountain watches over you in the deep and quiet dark. Your fingers find the cold, smooth edge of the black stone that sits upon the heavy wooden table. The stone is a dark and solid weight that has rested in this room for more years than you can count. It is carved from the deep heart of a mountain where the sun never reaches, and the earth is always cool. You feel the grain of the stone beneath your thumb, a microscopic texture that tells the story of the water and the wind. Beside the stone sits a small ceramic vessel filled with water from the spring that flows behind the temple. You pick up the small spoon made of silver, and you dip it into the water with a hand that is as steady as the mountain itself. The water is clear and bright, and it trembles slightly in the bowl of the spoon as you lift it. You pour a single drop onto the flat surface of the ink stone, and you watch it sit there like a perfect glass bead. The drop of water reflects the golden glow of the candle and the deep shadows of the rafters above. Now you reach for the stick of ink, a dense and fragrant bar made from the soot of ancient pines. It is wrapped in a thin layer of gold leaf that is worn away in the center, where your fingers always rest. The smell of the ink stick is the smell of a forest after a long and heavy rain. It is the scent of damp earth and charred wood, and the sweetness of resin that has hardened over centuries. You place the ink stick into the drop of water, and you begin to move your hand in a slow and perfect circle. The sound of the stone meeting the stone is a soft and rhythmic whisper that fills the empty spaces of the room. Scritch and slide and scritch and slide in a pattern that matches the slow and steady rising of your chest. You are not grinding the ink with your hand, but with your whole body as you lean into the motion. The weight of your shoulder flows down through your arm and into the tips of your fingers. Around and around the circle goes, never speeding up and never slowing down as the water begins to darken. The clear bead of water transforms into a swirling cloud of gray, and then into a pool of deepest midnight. You watch the ink become thick and glossy and rich like the surface of a pond in the middle of the night. The sound of the grinding changes as the ink thickens, becoming a wet and heavy sliding sound. It is the sound of time passing in a world where there is nowhere else to be and nothing else to do. You feel the vibration of the stone in your palm, a low and humming frequency that grounds you to the floor. The air in the room is cool, but the motion of your arm brings a gentle warmth to your skin. You stop the grinding, and you set the ink stick down upon a small porcelain rest shaped like a mountain range. The ink pool is ready, and it waits for you with a stillness that is absolute and profound. You turn your attention to the sheet of Xuan paper that is spread out before you on the felt mat. The paper is a soft and creamy white, the color of a cloud that has been stretched thin by the wind. You run your hand over the surface of the paper, and you feel the tiny fibers of the mulberry bark. It is soft like the skin of a peach, but it holds a strength that has lasted through the ages. The paper is thirsty, and you can feel its readiness to drink the ink that you have prepared. You reach for the brush, a long and slender handle of aged bamboo that has turned a deep honey brown. The bamboo is smooth and polished by the touch of your hand over a lifetime of quiet evenings. At the of the handle is a tuft of hair taken from the winter coat of a mountain wolf. The hairs are long and fine, and they taper to a point that is sharper than a needle. You dip the brush into the pool of ink, and you watch the white hairs vanish into the darkness. The brush drinks the ink greedily, and the bristles become heavy and soft and full. You lift the brush, and you draw it across the edge of the stone to remove the excess liquid. The point of the brush is perfect and dark, and it holds the potential of every word ever spoken. You hold the brush vertically between your fingers not gripping it tightly, but letting it rest there like a bird in a nest. Your thumb and your first two fingers are the only things that touch the bamboo, and you feel the pulse of your blood against the wood. You hover the brush an inch above the paper, and you wait for the moment when your breath and the ink become one. The candle flame flickers, and the shadows on the wall move in a slow and graceful dance. You can hear the mist pressing against the paper windows of the room, a soft and white silence that isolates you from the world. There is no city, and there is no noise, and there is no hurry in this space between the brush and the paper. You lower the brush until the very first hair touches the white surface, and you feel the slight resistance of the fibers. The ink begins to flow from the brush and into the paper, spreading out in a soft and fuzzy bloom. It is a tiny explosion of darkness on a field of light, a silent transformation that cannot be undone. You move your hand to the right, drawing a long and horizontal line that represents the earth and the horizon. The stroke is slow and deliberate, and you can see the ink sinking deep into the heart of the paper. The edges of the line are not sharp, but soft like the fur of a moth or the moss on a stone. You feel the friction of the brush against the paper, a tactile sensation that travels up your arm and into your soul. This is the first stroke of a character that means peace, and you give it all the time that it requires. The ink is wet, and it shines in the light of the fire, reflecting the gold and the red of the flames. As you reach the of the stroke, you press down slightly, and then you lift the brush with a flick of your wrist. The line ends in a sharp and elegant point that trails off into the white space like a fatting thought. You pause and you breathe, and you look at the mark you have made upon the world. It is a simple thing, but it is a perfect thing because it was made with stillness and with care. The room is silent, and the mountain is silent, and you are silent as you prepare for the next stroke. You dip the brush again, and the cycle begins anew. As the night unfolds its velvet wings around you, the weight of the blankets in your mind is like the weight of the ink on the paper, heavy and soft and certain. You are drifting now in a sea of white and black, where the only rhythm is the movement of the brush, around and around the ink stone and across, and down the paper in a dance that has known you are safe in the heart of the craft. And the history of the strokes is the history of your own heart beating in the dark. The ink on the paper is drying now, and you watch the deep black liquid settle into the pale fibers of the rice paper as it loses its shine and becomes a permanent of the morning that will eventually come. But for now, it is only the night, and the ink is a dark mirror reflecting nothing but the peace of your own mind, which has become as still as the water in a mountain pool, where no wind blows and no leaf falls to break the surface of your quiet contemplation. You look down at your fingers, and you see the small stains of ink near the tips, and they are badges of a long day spent in the service of beauty and repetition. And you feel the muscles in your hand beginning to let go of the tension of the grip. And the bamboo of the brush feels light as a feather as you place it down on the carved jade rest, which is cool to the touch and shaped like a mountain range in miniature, where the peaks are smooth and the valleys are deep and welcoming to the weary tools of your craft. The room is filled with the scent of pine soot and ancient wood, and the smell is thick and comforting like a heavy blanket that has been warmed by the sun and then brought inside to shield you from the cool air of the evening. And you breathe it in deeply, and you feel the scent moving through your chest and down into your stomach, and it grounds you to the earth and to the floor beneath you, which is made of woven straw mats that give slightly under your weight and make a soft, dry sound like the rustling of old scrolls in a library that has been forgotten by time. You are sinking lower now toward the floor, and the silk of your robe is a soft caress against your skin as it flows around you like water, and you feel the weight of the fabric as it pools on the mats. And it is a gentle weight that reminds you that you are here and you are safe, and there is nothing left to do but exist in the silence of the room, where the shadows are long and soft and blurred at the edges, so that they blend into the dark corners without any sharp lines to catch your eye or wake your mind. The candle on the table is burning low, and the flame is a small amber bead that pulses with a slow and steady light that matches the rhythm of your heart. And you watch the flame dance, and you feel your vision becoming soft and out of focus as the orange glow expands and fills the space behind your eyes. And it is a warm color that speaks of rest and of a long journey where the destination is simply the stillness of the present moment, where the ink has dried and the brush is still. You think of the thousands of strokes you have made today, and how each one was a prayer, and each one was a breath, and each one was a step toward this perfect emptiness, where there is no more need for words or for shapes or for meaning, because the movement itself was the meaning, and the repetition was the goal. And now that the work is finished, you can let go of the purpose and just be of the quiet room and of the cool air and of the history that lives in the smell of the ink. The world outside the paper screens is a distant memory of wind in the bamboo and the faint sound of a stream moving over smooth stones. But here inside the room, there is only the sound of the silence, which is a heavy and rich sound that vibrates in your ears like a low note played on a silk string. And you listen to the silence, and you find that it is the most beautiful music you have ever heard, because it tells you that everything is complete, and everything is exactly as it should be. Your head is bowing now, and your chin sinks toward your chest, and the back of your neck feels long and relaxed, and you feel the heavy pull of the earth drawing you down toward the bed of soft quilts that is waiting for you in the corner of the room. And you move slowly like you are moving through honey or through a dream, where every motion is graceful and slow and deliberate. And you feel the coolness of the air on your face as you leave the warmth of the candle behind. You crawl onto the thick cotton mattress, and the fabric is crisp and clean, and it smells of the wind and the sun, and you pull the heavy silk duvet up over your shoulders, and the weight of it is like a physical hand pressing you down into the softness, and you feel your bones becoming light and your muscles becoming soft like the ink when it first touches the water, and you are dissolving into the bed and into the night and into the history of all the masters who have laid down their brushes before you. Darkness is a soft velvet curtain that has fallen over the world, and you are behind the curtain in a place of total peace, where the only thing that exists is the rhythmic rise and fall of your chest, and the memory of the brush moving in circles around and around the ink stone. And the circles are getting wider and slower and more faint until they are just a ripple in the vast ocean of your sleep. And you are drifting now on that ocean toward the horizon, where there is no more ink and no more paper, and only the endless rest of the deep and silent dark. Are safe, and you are tired, and the work is done. And the history of the strokes is the history of your own heart beating in the dark. And you close your eyes, and you see the characters you have drawn glowing softly in the dark. And then they fade one by one until there is only the blackness and the warmth and the heavy silence of a life well lived in the pursuit of a single perfect line. And you are that line now stretching out into the eternity of the night, and you are resting, and you are sleeping, and your hometh boat moves with a slow and steady rhythm through the silver water of the river. You feel the weight of your body pressing down into the soft cushions of the small wooden vessel. The wood beneath you is old and smooth, and smells of cedar and ancient rain. You watch the banks of the river drift past in a slow blur of deep greens and charcoal grays. The mist hangs heavy over the water like a thick blanket of silk that muffins every sound. There is only the rhythmic sound of the long wooden oar dipping into the water and pulling back out again. It is a sound that repeats over and over and over. Each dip of the oar creates a circle of ripples that spreads out across the dark surface of the river. You watch the ripples grow wider and thinner until they disappear into the gray light. The air is cool and damp against your skin, and you pull your heavy robes closer around your shoulders. The fabric is thick and warm and smells faintly of wood smoke and dried tea leaves. You can feel the slow pulse of the river beneath the floorboards of the boat. It is a heartbeat that matches your own heartbeat as you breathe in the cold, clean air. In the distance, the mountains rise up like shadows, painted against a pale sky. They look like the strokes of a giant brush, dipped in diluted ink, soft edges and fatting lines that bleed into the clouds. You see the way the pine trees cling to the sides of the steep cliffs. Each needle is heavy with a single drop of dew that catches the dim light. You imagine the weight of those drops pulling the branches down in a slow and graceful arc. The world is becoming a series of lines and washes of gray. You are moving deeper into the landscape where time has no meaning. The river turns slowly to the left, and you see a small village nestled in the valley. The roofs are made of dark gray tiles that shine with the moisture of the mist. The smoke from the chimneys rises up in straight lines before curling into the heavy air. It is a slow and deliberate movement, like the rising of incense in a quiet temple, you watch the way the smoke thins and vanishes into the gray overhead. Your eyes follow the line of the riverbank, where the reeds sway back and forth. They move in unison with the wind and the water in a constant and repetitive dance. Back and forth and back and forth, you find yourself breathing in time with the swaying of the reeds. The boat glides past a stone bridge that arches over the water like a silent sentinel. You see the moss growing in the cracks of the ancient stones. It is a deep and vibrant green that seems to glow in the half-light. You notice the texture of the stone is rough and weathered by centuries of rain and wind. Every detail is sharp and clear, and yet so very soft. You feel the stillness of the landscape sinking into your bones. The river is a path of liquid silk that carries you forward without any effort on you are simply a witness to the unfolding of the world around you. The boatman stands at the back of the vessel, moving with a grace that comes from a lifetime of practice. His movements are steady and sure and silent. He does not speak, and you do not speak, because there is nothing that needs to be said. The silence is a heavy and comforting presence that wraps around you like a cocoon. You look down at your hands resting in your lap, and you notice the stillness of your fingers. There is no tension in your muscles and no weight in your mind. You are drifting through a painting that is being created in real time. The mountains shift their shapes as the boat moves further into the valley. They become taller and more imposing, and yet they feel protective and kind. You see a waterfall in the distance that looks like a single thread of white silk hanging from the rocks. It does not seem to move, it simply exists as a frozen line of light. You listen for the sound of the falling water, but it is too far away, and the mist is too thick. There is only the sound of the oar and the breath of the wind in the bamboo groves. The bamboo stalks are tall and slender, and they lean towards the water as if to listen to its secrets. Their leaves are small and sharp, and they rustle with a sound like dry paper rubbing together. It is a dry and rhythmic sound that contrasts with the wetness of the river. You feel the boat begin to slow as it approaches a small wooden dock. The dock is old, and the wood is silvered by the sun and the rain. You see the way the water laps against the pilings in a steady and repetitive motion. The boat touches the dock with a soft thud that vibrates through your feet. It is a gentle arrival, a transition from the movement of the water to the stillness of the land. You remain seated for a moment longer, watching the mist swirl around the base of the trees. The world is quiet, and the world is gray, and the world is waiting for you. You feel a deep sense of peace as you prepare to step out into the cool, damp air. The journey across the water has cleansed your mind of all distractions. You are ready to enter the house of the master, where the ink is waiting. You are ready to see the brush move across the paper in the same way the boat moved across the river, slow and steady and purposeful and calm. The rhythm of the land is the rhythm of the soul. and you are finally home. You stand up, slowly feeling the balance of the boat beneath you. Every movement is deliberate and heavy with the weight of relaxation. You step onto the wooden dock, and the sound of your footsteps is muffled and low. The mist closes in behind you as you W out towards the small path that leads into the forest. The trees arch over the path, creating a tunnel of green and gray. You walk slowly, feeling the soft earth beneath your feet. The smell of damp soil and fallen leaves is rich and grounding. You are moving deeper into the silence, and the silence is beautiful. You see the small house in the clearing, with its paper screens and wooden beams. It looks as if it has grown out of the earth itself. The light inside is warm and golden, and it spills out onto the porch in a soft glow. You stop at the edge of the clearing and breathe in the scent of sandalwood and old books. This is the place where the master spends his days in the repetitive study of a single line. You feel the weight of his dedication in the very air around the house. It is a heavy and peaceful weight that makes you want to close your eyes. You are here to learn the secret of the brush and the secret of the ink. You are here to find the stillness that exists in the middle of a movement. The boat is gone, and the river is behind you, and now there is only the path. You walk towards the door with a heart that is quiet and a mind that is clear. The journey has brought you to the beginning of a long and beautiful dream. You step onto the porch, and the wood is warm beneath your feet. You reach out to touch the paper screen, and it feels smooth and dry. Everything is as it should be in this world of ink and mist. You take one last breath of the cool mountain air before you step inside. The room is filled with the soft shadows of the evening and the quiet hum of a life well lived. You are ready to rest, and you are ready to see the masterwork. The rhythm of the strokes will carry you into the deepest of the night. You are safe, and you are warm, and you are exactly where you need to be. The heavy stone sits before you on the dark wooden table. It is a slab of smooth black slate, cool to the touch and ancient in its weight. You watch the master reach for a small ceramic pitcher shaped like a sleeping bird. A single drop of water falls from the beak of the bird and lands on the center of the stone. It is a clear bead of silver light resting on the darkness. Then another drop follows, and another drop after that. The sound is a tiny chime in the vast silence of the room. Now the master takes the ink stick made of compressed pine soot and delicate plum resin. His hand is steady, and his fingers are loose as he begins to grind the ink against the stone. Round and round, the motion goes in a circle that never ends. The sound is a low, soft rasp, like the breath of the earth itself. It is a rhythmic scraping that vibrates through the table and into your own hands. You feel the pulse of the grinding in your chest and in your heavy eyelids. The scent begins to rise, now thick and deep and earthy. It smells of ancient forests and burnt wood and the damp soil of a spring morning. The ink is becoming a liquid pool of midnight, on the surface of the slate. It is glossy and rich and darker than the shadows in the corners of the room. Round and round the hand moves, and you follow the circle with your mind. The circle is a path that leads you further away from the waking world. You are drifting on the sound of the stone, meeting the stone. Now the master lifts a brush made of soft, white goat hair and stiff wolf bristles. The handle is a hollow reed of bamboo worn smooth by decades of use. It feels light as a feather, yet heavy with the potential of 1,000 words. He dips the tip of the brush into the pool of black ink. You watch the white hairs drink the darkness until they are heavy and sleek. The brush is full, and the brush is ready, and the paper waits in the dim light. The paper is handmade Xuan paper, thin as a dragonfly wing and soft as silk. It has a texture of tiny fibers woven together by hand and dried in the sun. The master exhales a long, slow breath, and his shoulders drop even lower. Your own shoulders follow his lead, and you sink deeper into the soft cushions. The first stroke begins at the top of the page, a single horizontal line. The brush touches the paper with a sound like a sigh. It is a whisper of hair against fiber, a gentle friction that sings to the quiet. The ink bleeds into the paper, just a fraction of an inch, creating a soft edge. The line is strong, and the line is steady, and the line is a bridge to nowhere. Downward the brush moves now, a vertical pull that feels like falling. You are falling into the blackness of the ink and the whiteness of the paper. The movement is slow and deliberate and perfectly repeated. Again the brush is dipped, and again the stone is ground. The rhythm is the only thing that exists in this small, warm space. You see the grain of the bamboo handle and the way the light catches the wet ink. The room is filled with the heat of the small charcoal brazier. The heat wraps around your legs like a heavy wool blanket. You are so heavy, and you are so still, and you are so calm. Every stroke of the brush is a heartbeat in the silence. Every drop of ink is a moment of peace that settles over your mind. The master does not look at the paper, for he knows the paper by heart. He feels the resistance of the fibers and the flow of the liquid black. It is a dance of shadow and light that has no beginning. And know you are watching the ink dry. And as it dries, it turns from a gloss to a matte. The blackness becomes of the paper, and the paper becomes of the table. The table is of the floor, and the floor is of the earth. You are anchored to the center of the world by the weight of this stillness. The smell of the pine soot is a lullaby for your senses. It fills your nose, and it calms your heart, and it slows your pulse. The repetitive motion of the hand is a wave that washes over you, back and forth, and round in the dim orange glow of the lamp. The shadows on the wall are soft and blurry, and they move with the brush. You are closing your eyes now, but you can still see the ink flowing. It flows like a river of silk through the landscape of your dreams. You are safe in the temple of the brush and the stone. The world outside is far away and forgotten and cold, but here the ink is warm and the paper is soft and the master is wise. He continues to write the same character over and over again. It is the character for eternal, and it is the only word you need to know. Eternal peace and eternal rest and eternal quiet. The brush moves up and the brush moves down, and you move with it. The sound of the bristles is the sound of your own breath, soft and steady and slow and deep. You are sinking into the fibers of the paper and the depths of the ink. The night is long, and the night is kind, and the night is yours. The master smiles a small, secret smile as he finishes the last stroke. The ink is perfect, and the silence is perfect, and you are perfect. Sleep is a pool of black ink that you are ready to slide into now. It is cool, and it is deep, and it is waiting for you. Rest now in the rhythm of the brush and the scent of the pine. There is nothing left to do but drift and dream and be. The light of the lamp is fading to a tiny spark of gold. You are wrapped in the velvet dark of a lifetime of strokes, each one a gift of quiet, and each one a promise of rest. You are going deeper now into the heart of the ink, deeper into the softness of the handmade paper, deeper into the stillness of the master's hand. You are home, and you are held, and you are asleep. You feel the weight of your own body as if it were a heavy brush resting on a stand. Your toes are relaxed, and your ankles are loose, and your legs are heavy as stone. Your hips sink into the mattress, and your spine uncurls like a scroll of silk. Your chest rises and falls with the slow rhythm of the grinding stone. Your arms are limp at your sides, and your fingers are curled and soft. Your neck is supported, and your jaw is relaxed, and your eyes are closed tight. The darkness behind your eyelids is the same darkness as the ink. It is a warm darkness, and it is a safe darkness, and it is a deep darkness. The master is still there in the corner of your mind, continuing his work. The sound of the brush is a faint echo, now like a breeze in the bamboo. You are drifting further and further away from the table and the lamp. You are floating on a sea of white paper and black ink. The waves are gentle, and the waves are slow, and the waves are quiet. You are of the history of this craft, and of the peace of this room. The scent of the plum resin is the last thing you notice as you fade. It is sweet, and it is old, and it is comforting. You are sinking into the very bottom of the night, where there is only silence. The master has finished his work for the day, and the inn K-stone is dry. The brushes are washed, and the paper is set aside to rest. It is time for you to rest as well, and time for you to let go. The world is still, and the world is dark, and the world is at peace. You are falling into the deepest of sleeps, guided by the strokes of the brush, down into the velvet, and down into the ink, and down into the dream. You are safe, and you are warm, and you are exactly where you need to. Beth morning light is a pale whisper through the fog that clings to the side of the mountain, like a heavy damp blanket pressing against the ancient stones of the path You are walking slowly your feet, finding the familiar rhythm of the climb, each step a deliberate movement that connects you to the earth beneath your soles. The air is thick and cool, tasting of wet pine needles and crushed moss, filling your lungs with a slow, heavy peace that settles deep in your chest like a stone at the bottom of a clear pool. You can feel the moisture on your skin, a fine veil of dew that makes the world feel soft and blurred around the edges. You reach the wooden gate of the studio, and it is made of aged cedar, silvered by decades of rain and sun. You reach out and touch the grain of the wood, feeling the ridges and the valleys of the timber, a landscape of time under your fingertips. The gate opens with a low groan of iron on wood, a sound that belongs to the stillness of the mountain. Inside the room is a sanctuary of shadows and soft amber light, where the frantic noise of the world outside ceases to exist. And all that remains is the scent of old scrolls and dry earth, and the faint metallic tang of the ink stone waiting on the low table. The master is already there, a figure of quiet permanence, sitting on a thin mat of woven grass. His back is straight, but relaxed like a willow branch in the winter wind. And he does not look up as you enter, because he is already of the silence that fills the space. You watch his hands as they begin the ritual of the morning, moving in a slow and perfect circle as he grinds the solid ink stick against the wet surface of the slate stone, a sound like the tide pulling back over a beach of tiny pebbles. SSSHHHH, SSSHHHH, SSSHHHH. The stone is black and cool, a fragment of the earth polished by a lifetime of this very motion back and forth, around and around. The rhythm is a heartbeat, slow and steady and eternal, and you find your own breathing beginning to match the pace of his hand. The smell of the ink begins to rise from the stone, a dark and earthy perfume of burnt pine soot and ancient resins. It is a scent that carries the weight of history and the lightness of a dream swirling around you until your eyelids grow heavy and warm in the dim light. You see a single drop of water falling from a small ceramic dropper shaped like a resting toad. It hits the stone with a soft metallic ping that echoes in the stillness of the room before it is swallowed by the growing pool of liquid shadow. The ink becomes thick and glossy, catching the light of the single candle that flickers on the table. The flame is a small golden pulse dancing in the rhythm of the air, moving in and out of your lungs. As you sink down onto a mat of your own, the texture of the dried grass is firm and supportive beneath you, and you can feel the individual stalks pressing gently against your palms as you rest them on your knees, letting the weight of your body be fully claimed by the floor and the mountain and the earth. He picks up a brush made of bamboo and wolf hair. The handle is yellowed like old ivory smooth from the touch of 1,000 mornings seeking the perfect line. And you see the way the bristles taper to a point as fine as a single thought suspended in the air. Dip and swirl, the motion is a lullaby written in the space between the table and the paper, a silent song that tells you it is time to let go of the day and sink into the ink where there are no worries and no clocks. You see a single grain of dust floating in a beam of light that has managed to pierce the mist, and the paper screen moving so slowly it seems to be swimming through honey. It drifts down toward the sheet of handmade mulberry bark with edges as soft as a cloud. The paper is wading white and vast like a snowy field at dawn, untouched and silent, calling for the first mark of the brush. But there is no hurry. There is only the preparation, the long and beautiful slow walk toward the first stroke of the day. Your heart rate drops to match the slow grinding of the ink, and the room seems to expand and contract with every breath you take, until the walls are no longer solid, but made of the same mist that hides the valley below. You are safe here in the circle of the ink and the rhythm of the hand and the scent of the pine soot that fills your head with the darkness of a deep and dreamless sleep that is waiting for you just beyond the next movement of the brush. The master pauses, his hand poised above the paper, and in that pause, the entire universe seems to hold its breath with him, waiting for the moment when the void is broken by the first line of black against the white. You feel the tension leave your neck and your jaw as you wait for that movement, knowing it will be as slow and as certain as the rising of the sun over the eastern ridge. And you close your eyes to better hear the silence of the ink as it prepares to speak onto the page. Silence of the ink is a heavy velvet blanket that settles over your shoulders as you sit in the center of this quiet room, where the only clock is the slow drying of the black liquid on the stone. And you feel the weight of your own hands resting on your knees like smooth river stones, polished by centuries of cool water flowing over their surface, as you breathe in the scent of the pine soot, which is deep and earthy, and carries the memory of ancient forests, where the trees grew tall and silent under the watchful eyes. Moon, reach out your hand with a slowness that defies the passage of time, and your fingers find the handle of the brush, which is made of mottled bamboo that feels cool and waxy against your skin. And you can feel the slight ridges of the wood where the sun once kissed the stalk as it climbed toward the light. And now that same wood is an extension of your own arm, an extension of your own intent, as you lift it with a grace that requires no effort at all. And you feel the soft tension in your forearm dissolve like mist over lake in the early morning. The brush is tipped with the finest hairs of a white goat, and they are soft and supple as they dip into the well of the inkstone, where the liquid waits in a pool of perfect darkness. And you watch as the hairs soak up the blackness, becoming heavy and dark and rich, with the potential of a single line that will define the space of the paper before you, which is white and vast like a field of freshly fallen snow that has never been touched by a footstep or a shadow. You can hear the faint sound of the ink as it clings to the brush, a sound so quiet it is more of a feeling in your inner hear a gentle hum of molecules settling into place as you bring the brush toward the paper, and you pause just a hair's breadth above the surface, feeling the warmth radiating from the fibers of the rice paper, which was handmade by artisans who pressed the pulp with the palms of their hands and let it dry in the gentle heat of the sun until it became this delicate and resilient expanse of possibility. Now the tip of the brush makes contact, and you feel the slight resistance of the paper as the ink begins to bleed into the grain, and you move your hand in a slow horizontal line from left to right, feeling the rhythm of the stroke in the very center of your chest, where your heart beats with a slow and steady pulse that matches the movement of your arm. And you see the black ink blooming like a slow-motion flower, opening its petals in the dark as the liquid finds its home among the woven threads of the paper. Left to right, the brush travels with a certainty that comes from 1,000 years of repetition and 1,000 years of stillness. And you feel the muscles in your back soften and lengthen as you lean into the movement, which is not a movement of strength, but a movement of surrender, as if the brush is leading you across the page, and you are simply following the path that has already been written in the quiet air of the room. The stroke ends with a gentle lift and a slight taper, and you watch as the ink begins to lose its wet shimmer and settles into the paper, becoming a permanent of the world. And you feel a sense of profound peace washing over you like a warm tide, because this one line is enough, and this one moment is complete. And there is no need to hurry to the next stroke, or the next thought, or the next breath, as the room grows darker, and the shadows stretch out like long ink strokes across the floor. You repeat the motion again, and you feel the same cool bamboo, and the same soft hairs, and the same deep scent of the pine soot as you dip the brush once more. And the repetition is a lullaby that sings to your bones and tells them they are safe, and tells them they are heavy, and tells them they are exactly where they need to be in this sanctuary of ink and paper, where the world outside has faded away into a soft gray blur that does not matter anymore. Down and across, and up and away, the brush dances in a slow and hypnotic circle that mirrors the turning of the earth and the cycling of the seasons. And you find yourself sinking deeper into the cushions of your chair, feeling the gravity of the earth pulling at your limbs with a gentle and loving hand that wants only for you to rest and to be still and to listen to the silence that lives between the strokes of the brush. The inkstone is a steady anchor on the table, and you run your gaze over its dark surface, seeing the faint swirls of the stone where it was carved from the mountainside. And you realize that your own life is like this stone, and like this ink, and like this paper, a beautiful and quiet composition of light and shadow that is being painted with every slow and deliberate breath you take as you drift further and further into the soft embrace of the craft. You feel the weight of your eyelids becoming heavier with every line you draw, and the black ink on the white paper begins to look like the branches of a tree against a winter sky, or the ripples on a pond when a single leaf falls from a branch. And you are the leaf, and you are the water, and you are the tree, and you are the hand that holds the brush in a world that is made of nothing but peace and the scent of ancient ink, and the feeling of being completely and utterly at rest as the master continues his work in the dimming light of the afternoon sun that is now just a golden thread on the horizon of your mind. You move along the narrow stone path where the moss grows thick and damp against your soles, and every step you take is heavy and slow and certain as you drift toward the small wooden door nestled in the crook of the mountainside, where the mist hangs low and white like a heavy silk blanket draped over the peaks and the valleys below. You step across the threshold of the studio where the air is still, and the light is filtered through the thin paper screens that glow with a pale golden hue, and you feel the weight of the world falling away from your shoulders as you leave the wind and the cold behind you to enter this space of perfect quiet and perfect order. The floor beneath your feet is made of dark polished timber that feels cool and smooth and solid as you move deeper into the room where the scent of old paper and dried ink fills your senses and calms your mind, until every thought is as soft as the clouds drifting past the window panes high above the valley floor. In the center of the room, a small charcoal brazier glows with a dim orange light, and the heat it gives off is steady and rhythmic like the pulse of the earth itself, and you find yourself drawn toward the warmth as you sit down on a thick woven mat that smells of dried grass and summer sun. On a low table nearby, there is a bowl of warm congee with ginger and green onions, and the steam rises in a slow, steady column that breaks apart against the ceiling beams, and you can taste the warmth in the back of your throat as you breathe in the savory comfort of a meal prepared with patience and care and long years of tradition. Near the edge of the mat, a small white cat is curled into a tight ball on a pile of discarded scrolls, and its breathing is so slow and so steady that you find your own chest rising and falling in time with its gentle rhythm as the sound of its purr vibrates almost silently against the floorboards, and the world outside the paper windows fades away into nothing but gray light and soft shadows. You look at the tools laid out before you on the long, narrow desk, and you see the brushes with handles of bamboo and sandalwood and jade, each one worn smooth by the grip of a hand that has spent a lifetime seeking the perfect line. And you can feel the history in the wood and the weight of the stories held within the bristles. There are stacks of handmade paper that are as white as fallen snow and as soft as a moth wing. And when you reach out to touch the edge of a sheet, you feel the slight grain and the delicate fibers that were pressed together by hand in a process that took many days and many nights of quiet labor. The ink stone is a slab of dark slate that has been carved with the image of a dragon chasing a pearl, and you can see the shallow well where the water will go, and the flat surface where the solid ink stick will be rubbed in slow circular motions until the liquid turns as black as the midnight sky over the highest mountain peak. You feel your eyelids growing heavy as you watch the light shift across the walls, and the shadows lengthen in the corners of the studio, where the old scrolls are stored in cedar boxes that smell of the forest and the earth. And you know that there is no need to hurry and no need to go anywhere else, because this moment is all that exists. The master moves with a grace that is almost invisible as he adjusts the position of a single brush, and the sound of his silk sleeves brushing against the table is like the whisper of the wind through the tall grass. And you feel a deep sense of belonging as you watch the way his hands move with a steady and unwavering calm. You are sinking deeper into the soft mat, and the warmth of the tea is spreading through your chest and down into your fingertips. And you can feel the rhythm of the mountain, and the rhythm of the ink, and the rhythm of your own breath, all blending together into one single note of peace that vibrates through the room. Every detail is a world of its own, from the tiny cracks in the glaze of the tea bowl to the way the ink has stained the wood of the table in a pattern that looks like a map of a distant land. And you find yourself tracing the lines with your eyes until they blur and soften into the gray mist of a dream. The world is very far away now, and all that remains is the smell of the charcoal and the sound of the water and the feel of the heavy silk robes against your skin as you settle into the stillness and prepare to watch the first stroke of the brush begin its journey across the page in a motion that has been practiced for 1,000 years and will be practiced for 1,000 more. The ink stick itself is a small rectangular pillar of compressed soot and resin, and it feels cool and dense in your hand, like a piece of ancient stone that has been polished by the flow of a river for centuries. And you can see the gold leaf characters embossed on its side that tell a story of longevity and wisdom, and the quiet strength of the willow tree in the storm. You watch the master take a small porcelain dropper and let 3 single beads of water fall onto the surface of the ink stone, and the sound of each drop hitting the slate is a tiny bell ringing in the silence of the afternoon. And you wait for the 4th drop, but it does not come, because 3 is enough, and the balance is perfect just as it is. Now the grinding begins, and the sound is a low, soft, rasping like the sound of a breath taken in deep sleep. And the master moves the ink stick in a circle that is neither too fast nor too slow, but exactly the speed of a heart at rest. And you see the water begin to darken and thicken as the soot dissolves into the liquid and becomes the shadow of a thought. The smell of the ink is deep and earthy and metallic all at once, and it reminds you of the damp soil in a forest after a long rain when the air is thick with the scent of growing things, and the quiet power of the earth beneath your feet, and you breathe it in and feel your lungs expand and contract in a slow and easy motion. The master picks up a brush, and the way his fingers wrap around the bamboo handle is so light that it seems the brush is floating in the air of its own accord. And he tests the tip of the bristles against his thumb, and the sound of the hair moving against the skin is a dry whisper that that tells you the brush is ready and the paper is waiting. You see the grain of the paper more clearly now as the light from the window catches the tiny ridges and valleys of the surface. And you realize that every sheet is a landscape of its own waiting to be explored by the tip of the brush and the flow of the ink and the steady hand of the one who knows how to wait for the right moment. The cat on the scrolls stretches one paw out and then pulls it back in, and the sound of its claws snagging slightly on the paper is a sharp little noise that only highlights the deep silence that follows. And you find yourself sinking further down into the warmth of the room as the shadows continue to dance on the walls in a slow and silent ballet. There is a bowl of oranges on a wooden tray near the door, and the bright citrus scent cuts through the heavy smell of the ink for just a moment, like a flash of sunlight through a cloud. And then it fades back into the background, leaving only a faint sweetness on the air that makes you feel safe and nourished and completely at home in this quiet sanctuary. You are so still now that you can hear the sound of your own blood moving through your ears, and it sounds like the distant ocean or the wind in the tops of the pine trees. And you realize that you are of this room and of this mountain and of the ink that is being ground into existence on the stone. The master looks at you and his eyes are kind and steady, and they hold the stillness of a deep lake in the early morning before the first breeze has touched the water. And you feel a sense of profound relaxation wash over you from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes as you prepare to close your eyes and let the story carry you away into the dark and quiet places of the mind. The sound of the ink stick against the inkstone is the first thing you notice in this quiet room. It is a low and steady rhythm, a rhythmic rasping that feels like a physical weight pressing gently against your chest as you sit at the heavy wooden table. The wood of the table is dark and cool, and you can feel the grain of the timber beneath your fingertips where it has been worn smooth by the passage of many years and many hands and many brushes resting in the stillness of the afternoon. You watch as a single drop of water falls from a small porcelain dropper shaped like a sleeping toad, and the water hits the black stone with a silent impact that ripples in slow motion across the surface of the shallow well. Now you take the ink stick between your thumb and your fingers, and you feel the dry and dusty texture of the compressed pine soot. And the scent begins to rise as you move your hand in a slow and perfect circle. Round and round, the ink stick goes against the stone, and the sound is a soft hum, a monotone vibration that travels up your arm and into your shoulder and down into your spine until you feel your bones becoming heavy and still. The smell of the ink is the smell of a forest in the deep winter. It is the scent of old wood and cold stone, and a hint of smoke from a distant fire that has long since burned down to glowing embers in the hearth of a quiet house. You watch the water turn from clear to gray, and then from gray to a deep and velvet blackness that reflects the soft light coming through the paper windows of the studio, where the dust motes dance in the air. The dust motes move with an impossible slowness, drifting up and down in the golden beams of light. And you find yourself breathing in time with their movement, a slow and rhythmic expansion of the lungs that fills you with peace. Now the ink is ready, and you reach for the brush, which rests on a small ceramic stand shaped like a mountain range with 5 peaks. And you feel the cool bamboo of the handle as you lift it into the air. The brush is balanced perfectly, and it feels like an extension of your own hand, an extension of your own thoughts, as you dip the fine hairs into the dark pool of ink and watch them drink until they are heavy and full. The bristles are made of the softest wolf hair, and they are supple and strong, and they hold the ink with a quiet patience as you bring the tip of the brush toward the vast and empty landscape of the paper. The paper is a sheet of fine xuan, and it is white and pure and textured with the tiny fibers of the plants that were pressed together to create this surface for your thoughts to rest upon in the coming hours. You feel the weight of the air in the room, and it is a comforting weight, like a heavy blanket made of silence and light, and the smell of old books, and the ink that is waiting to be born upon the page. Your breath is slow and steady now as you hover the brush just a fraction of an inch above the paper, and you can feel the static charge between the ink and the fibers, a pull of gravity that is gentle and sure. There is no rush in this room, and there is no time outside of this room, and there is only the movement of the hand and the breath and the ink and the stone and the light that continues to fade as the sun moves across the sky. The first stroke begins with a tiny pressure, a soft touch that is almost not a touch at all. And you see the point of the brush splay out just a little bit as it makes contact with the white surface. The ink flows into the paper, and you see it bloom like a dark flower in slow motion, spreading out into the tiny crevices of the fibers and creating a line that is both sharp and soft at the same time. The sound of the brush on the paper is a dry whisper, a sound of friction and release that echoes in the quiet of your mind as you move your hand slowly to the right in a long and steady horizontal line. This is the stroke of one, the simplest and most difficult movement to master. And you have done this 10,000 times, and you will do it 10,000 times more until the motion is of your soul. Feel the tension leaving your neck as you focus only on the tip of the brush, and the way the ink leaves the bristles and settles into the paper with a permanence that is both beautiful and calming in its simplicity. The line is thick in the middle and tapers at the ends, and you can see the character of the ink in the way it varies from a deep and solid black to a translucent gray where the paper shows through the stroke. You lift the brush at the end of the stroke, and the movement is as graceful as a bird taking flight from a branch. leaving behind a trail of silence that lingers in the air between you and the page. The room is getting darker now as the shadows lengthen across the floorboards, and you feel the coolness of the evening beginning to seep through the walls. But you are warm, and you are still, and you are safe. You look at the ink stone again, and you see the small amount of liquid that remains, and you prepare to move the brush again to dip it back into the darkness, and to begin the next repetition of the same perfect motion. The repetition is a lullaby for the body and a meditation for the mind, and you feel yourself drifting further away from the world of noise and into the world of ink and paper and breath. Every muscle in your body is relaxed, and every thought is as clear as the drop of water that fell from the porcelain toad. And you are ready to let the rhythm of the brush carry you down into a deep and dreamless sleep, down further into the darkness of the ink, where the colors are soft and the sounds are muffled, and the only thing that matters is the slow and steady movement of the hand across the white expanse of the night. You are floating in a sea of velvet, and the waves are made of silk, and the light is the light of a single candle burning in a room where the only inhabitant is the silence that has lived there for 100 years. Feel the weight of your eyelids as they become as heavy as the ink stick, and the way your breath becomes as soft as the hair of the brush, and the way your heart beats with the slow pulse of the earth beneath the floor. You are a master of the stroke, and you are a master of the silence, and you are a master of the sleep that is now coming to take you into the quiet places where the stories begin, and the world ends in a wash of black and white. The paper is waiting, and the ink is waiting, and you are waiting to let go and to fall into the softness of the bed that feels like a cloud of Xuan paper holding you up in the middle of a dark and starry sky. Slowly now, the brush returns to the stand, and the hand returns to the lap, and the eyes return to the darkness, and the mind returns to the peace that has always been there waiting for the ink to dry and the day to fade away. Rest now in the heart of the stroke, and rest now in the center of the stone, and rest now in the breath that moves you toward the edge of the dream, where the calligraphy of the soul is written in the language of sleep. It is a good sleep. It is a deep sleep. It is a sleep that is as old as the mountains, and as quiet as the ink, and as steady as the hand of the master, who has finished his work for the night, and has closed his eyes at last. The silence is complete, and the darkness is total, and you are drifting down and down and down into the soft and welcoming arms of the night, where the only sound is the echo of a single brush stroke fading into the distance, fading into the quiet, and fading into the dark, and fading into the peace that passeth all understanding. And you are there, and you are here, and you are nowhere at all as the story ends and the rest begins. Good night to the brush, and good night to the stone, and good night to the ink, and good night to the paper, And good night to the master. Who is you, and who is me, and who is everyone who has ever sought the stillness of the heart. Sleep now, and let the ink be your guide, and let the silence be your companion, and let the darkness be your home for the hours that remain, until the light returns to the window, and the world begins again in a new and different way. But for now, there is only the ink and the paper and the breath and the sleep that is coming for you now so slowly and so surely and so beautifully that you cannot help but smile as you slip away into the deep and the dark, down and down and down into the velvet and the silk and the pine soot and the stone and the silence of the room where the master is finally at rest, and the work is done, and the night is long, and the dreams are soft and kind. Good night, good night, good night, the calligraphy master's studio. You step into the wooden studio where paper awaits. The brush rests in your hand, soft and weighted. You dip the bristles into ink dark as midnight water. The scent of ground carbon fills your lungs slow and steady. You begin the first stroke. Downward, patient, controlled. Your wrist moves like water flowing over smooth stones. The paper drinks the ink. You breathe in as the line descends. You breathe out as the brush lifts away. Again, you dip into the ink pool. Again, the brush meets paper. The same character forming beneath your hand. One stroke, two strokes, three strokes, each line a meditation, each curve a prayer written in black and stillness. The morning light shifts across the studio floor. You notice the grain of the wooden table beneath your work, polished by decades of sleeves, moving across its surface, worn smooth by 10,000 practice sheets. You set down one pay, you lift another. The rhythm continues like waves, returning to shore. Your breathing matches the tempo of the brush. In, the bristles load with ink. Out, the stroke appears on rice paper. The fire crackles in the corner brazier. Steam rises from your tea bowl forgotten, and cooling. You don't pause to drink. The repetition holds you. Stroke after stroke, character after character. Outside the window, you hear fabric flapping on a line. Someone's laundry drying in the courtyard breeze. But here in this room, there is only ink, paper, breathing, the soft whisper of bristles on fiber. Your shoulder relaxes into the movement. Your spine settles. The same motion repeated becomes effortless, becomes automatic, becomes a kind of sleep while waking. The lantern sways slightly overhead, casting gentle shadows across your work. You continue, brushstroke following brushstroke, each one identical, each one unique, like your own heartbeat. Steady, endless, necessary. The ink pool reflects your face for a moment, then ripples as the brush returns. Again and again and again. Chinese calligraphy master. You dip the brush again into the ink stone, the bristles absorbing darkness slowly. You hear the soft whisper of hair against liquid. the same sound you heard yesterday, the same sound you will hear tomorrow. Your wrist moves in the practiced curve, forming the first stroke of water, then the second, then the third, the rhythm as steady as your breathing. In and out, brush down, brush up. The paper beneath your hand smells of rice and age. The ink smells of pine soot and glue, mixed weeks ago in the stone vessel, ground slowly with water until it turned to silk. You lift the brush, you dip again, the bristles drink. The wooden table is smooth under your left palm, worn by decades of resting hands. You feel the grain through your skin, oak or perhaps elm, carved when your teacher's teacher was young. Your cotton robe shifts as you lean forward, the fabric soft from countless washings. You smell the faint scent of lye soap, and beneath that the wood smoke from the morning fire, still clinging to the threads. The brush moves, creating the character for mountain. 3 strokes rising like peaks. You have written this character 10,000 times, perhaps more. You will write it 10,000 times again. Your breath moves in, your breath moves out. The bristles touch paper, lifting away clean. Outside the window, a bird calls. The same bird that called this morning, that will call tomorrow morning. You dip the brush once more, watching ink bloom in the bristles, dark and wet and ready, your hand completely still, waiting for the next stroke, the next breath, the next moment of repetition. The calligraphy master. You watch the brush move across rice paper again, and again, and again. The same stroke, the same angle, the same pressure of bristle against grain. You see ink pool in the fiber, dark and wet, spreading slow like sleep itself, spreading through your limbs. The master's hand moves without thinking now. After 40 years, after 50 years, after a lifetime of this one motion, this one curve, this one line, you breathe with the rhythm of the brush, rising, falling, touching paper, lifting away. The ink dries in the night air, and you smell it, that mineral scent, that water and carbon smell. The lantern sways above the workspace, casting shadows that move like breathing, like the slow tide of consciousness. You feel your own hand relax, your own fingers soften as you watch another stroke, and another stroke, and another stroke. The same character, written 10,000 times, and still the brush finds new ways to rest against paper. Still the ink finds new ways to bloom. You notice the stars through the open window, steady and distant, burning their slow burn, repeating their ancient patterns. The master paints the same stroke. The stars trace the same arc. Your breath follows the same rhythm. In and out and in. Everything moves in circles. Everything repeats. Everything returns to the beginning and begins again. The brush touches paper. The ink spreads. The night deepens. Your eyes grow heavy watching this endless patient repetition, this craft of doing one thing over and over until the doing becomes dreaming, until the movement becomes stillness, until the stars blur soft and the brush strokes fade into the dark, gentle water of sleep. You drift through the stillness. A soft breeze whispers your name, carrying scents of distant mountains and damp earth after rain. Your steps are light, your breathing steady, a rhythm of peace deep within your chest. The old wooden path beneath your feet feels smooth and cool. Each plank tells a story of countless footsteps before yours. The moon hangs high above, a pearl in the velvet sky, illuminating your way. Among the gentle shadows, you carry your lantern low. Its soft glow dances, a warm circle on the ground, a small star on your journey. You feel the leather strap of your satchel against your side, a familiar comfort, a quiet companion. Tonight you seek a quiet wisdom, a deeper understanding of patience and time, of beauty in repetition. You arrive at a simple home, nestled among ancient trees. Their branches reach like arms toward the starlit heavens. A low hum of quiet industry drifts from within, a subtle melody of focus, a lifetime of dedication. You step inside. The air is soft and warm. A small brazier crackles gently, sending sparks upward like tiny wishes. A calligraphy master works here, his life a tapestry of ink and paper, a devotion to the stroke, a philosophy of slowness. You watch him from a distance, his back to you, his form still and centered, a living meditation. He sits at a low wooden table, smooth from years of use, a testament to enduring craft, a silent witness to art. His brush a delicate extension of his steady hand, a tool of patience, a conduit for expression. He dips the fine hairs into the dark liquid ink, a slow, deliberate motion, a moment suspended in time. The ink swirls gently, a tiny universe in the dish, darkness holding light, potential held within its depth. He lifts the brush, pauses for a long breath. Your own breathing mirrors his, a shared rhythm of calm. Then the brush descends onto the soft, absorbent paper, a whisper of sound, a faint rustle of fiber. You see the black line form, a living river on the page, precise and flowing, each stroke a breath made visible. He creates a character, a single ideogram, a symbol rich with meaning, a history in a line. This is his life work, 1,000,000 times. He has made this exact stroke, each one a journey of focus, each one a lesson in presence. The repetition is not monotony, but a deepening devotion, a path to inner peace, a celebration of the steady hand. The simple act of writing becomes a profound art, a dance of intention, a quiet conversation with the self. You watch his robes sway slightly as he leans into the stroke, the soft fabric a whisper against the polished wood. The room is quiet, save for the faint crackle of the fire and the soft scrape of brush on paper. a symphony of stillness. You close your eyes for a moment, imagining his lifetime of practice, the thousands of hours, the unwavering dedication. It is a lesson in letting go, of rushing thoughts and hurried days, finding beauty in the slow unfolding, the deliberate journey. Your lantern casts a gentle glow on the wooden floor beside you, a small pool of light. In the quiet expanse, the master raises his brush. A new stroke begins, each one a fresh start, each one a culmination. You feel a deep sense of peace settling around you like a warm blanket. The quiet wisdom of the master's art enters your very being. The slow movement of his hand, the silent flow of the ink, the patience of the paper, absorbing each delicate mark. It is a reminder of the water that carves mountains over eons, a gentle, persistent force, shaping the world with time. Your breathing is soft and even, a quiet lullaby within you. You are of this stillness, this timeless space of creation. The stars outside the window shine with ancient light, watching over this quiet art, this patient human endeavor. You feel the wood of your seat, solid and grounding beneath you, a connection to the earth, a stable foundation for rest. This quiet reflection on a life dedicated to slow craft is a balm for your spirit, a release for your mind. The subtle scent of ink mingles with the wood smoke, a peaceful fragrance of history and focus. You listen to the faint sounds of the master's work, the rhythmic whisper of the brush, a meditative presence. It is a path of mastery, built one slow stroke at a time, a lesson for us all in the power of patient effort. Your eyelids feel heavy, a soft descent into comfort as the master continues his art, his silent, beautiful art, the crackle of the fire, a soft heartbeat in the room, the gentle sway of your lantern, a silent lullaby of light. You let the scene wash over you, a calming wave of peace, the quiet dedication, the beauty of slowness. The repetition is soothing, the focus unwavering, a perfect stillness for a weary mind to find rest. You picture the thousands of strokes, each one perfect in its imperfection, a testament to enduring will, a quiet triumph of spirit. The paper waits patiently for each new mark, a canvas of endless possibility, unfolding with grace. You breathe in deeply, a slow release of worries, letting go of all tension, embracing this deep calm. The master's work is a whisper of ancient wisdom, telling you to slow down, to simply be. The ink flows freely, a dark river of thought, moving across the page, a journey without end. You are very relaxed now, your body heavy and warm, immersed in this peaceful scene, this quiet, historical moment. The stars outside sparkle on, a celestial audience to the master's enduring art, to your journey of rest. The wood grain on the table, the smooth fabric of the robes, the glint of the lantern light on the master's steady hand. It all blends into a gentle hum, a soft invitation to sleep, a deepening stillness, a profound sense of peace. The philosophy of slowness permeates the air, a timeless truth. For a restful night, you feel yourself drifting now, carried by the calm rhythms of brush on paper, of steady breathing, of crackling fire, and gently swaying light. You are safe and warm, held in this quiet history. A deep slumber awaits you, a restorative sleep. You walk along a path that gently unwinds before you, the ground soft beneath your worn leather boots, each step a soft whisper against the damp earth. The air around you carries a cool stillness, a memory of the day slowly fading. The sky above begins to deepen into evening hues, a quiet transition from light to twilight. You pull your woolen cloak a little tighter around your shoulders, feeling the familiar comforting weight of the fabric, its rough texture, a gentle assurance against your skin. You breathe in slowly, deeply, then release the breath in a long, easy sigh, a steady rhythm forming within your own body, a quiet drumbeat of peace. The scent of distant wood smoke drifts on the evening breeze, a faint sweetness mingling with the damp scent of pine needles. It reminds you of hearth fires of warmth, of simple comfort. A small lantern hangs from your hand, its gentle light swaying with each deliberate step you take. The soft glow dances on the rough bark of trees, on the smooth stones embedded in the path, a small beacon in the gathering dusk. You hear the faint murmur of water nearby, a stream perhaps, or a small river flowing over ancient stones. Its steady movement, a constant lullaby in the quiet landscape. You close your eyes for a moment, sensing the rhythm of the world around you, the rhythm of your own slow breathing, the rhythm of the lantern's gentle sway, the rhythm of the water's unending journey. This slowness, this deliberate pace feels right. It allows your thoughts to uncurl, to stretch out like long shadows. There is no rush, no urgency here. Only the journey itself, only the quiet unfolding of moments. You remember the patient strokes of the calligraphy master, each line, each character, built from countless repetitions, not rushing to a finish, but savoring each application of ink. This walk, this journey is much the same, a series of repeated motions building towards something greater than itself, a quiet understanding that resides not in the destination, but in the very act of moving forward, gently, steadily. The stars begin to pepper the vast canvas above, tiny pinpricks of light piercing the dark fabric of the night sky. They seem so ancient, so timeless, so utterly unhurried. Their light travels across unimaginable distances, taking its time to reach your eyes, a beautiful testament to the philosophy of slowness. The wood of your lantern feels smooth and worn in your hand, a familiar friend accompanying you on this quiet pilgrimage. Its carved handle tells a story of many journeys, many hands. You continue to walk your footsteps, a soft counterpoint to the water's song. The fire crackle of a distant camp or hearth reaches your ears now and then, a comforting whisper in the expanse of night. Your breathing remains deep and even, a private harmony resonating within your chest. You notice the way the light from your lantern catches on a fallen leaf, revealing its delicate veins, its intricate patterns, details that might be missed if you were moving too quickly. The feeling of the smooth leather strap of your satchel against your side, a constant presence, a reminder of your simple belongings, the essentials for this journey, for this life. You are simply walking, simply being, letting the world present itself to you in its own sweet time. There is a profound beauty in this unhurried existence, a wisdom found in the gentle unfolding of each moment. The steady rhythm of your movement becomes a meditation, a silent conversation with the path, with the night, with yourself. This feeling of peace washes over you like the softest tide, leaving behind a quiet sense of calm, a deep contentment. You breathe it and you hold it close, a precious gift of the unhurried journey. The lantern light sways ever so gently, a soft golden glow moving with the breeze. You feel the quiet rhythm of your own breathing, in and out a steady flow, a gentle tide. The simple truth of slowness begins to settle deep within you, like a fine dust on a treasured antique. It is not about rushing to an end, but finding the beauty in each small moment along the way. The worn leather of the old journal feels cool beneath your fingertips. The smooth wood of the desk where it rests, a silent testament to countless hours of quiet contemplation, of unhurried thought. The world outside often demands speed, a quick answer, a rapid pace, a constant forward motion. But here in this soft space, you understand a different wisdom, a deeper knowing. The crackle of the embers in the hearth sings a lullaby, a soft whisper of warmth and time passing gently, each spark a tiny memory, each dying glow a slow release. You notice the weave of the fabric of your simple clothing, how the threads intertwine and hold together, a complex pattern built from individual strands, each one laid with purpose, with patience. This deliberate calm is a gift you give yourself, a quiet pause in the rush of the world. Your breath continues its soft cycle, a wave approaching a wave receding, a natural rhythm that carries you gently further into tranquility. The stars outside begin to show themselves more clearly, piercing the fading twilight. A million tiny diamonds scattered across velvet cloth, each one so far away, so ancient, their light traveling for unimaginable lengths of time to reach your quiet gaze. You think of a master artist, a Chinese calligraphy master, sitting for hours, days, years, a lifetime dedicated to a single motion. The graceful sweep of the brush, the precise angle of the wrist, the steady pressure of the hand, the careful loading of the ink, a lifetime of repetitive brush strokes, thousands upon thousands of the same stroke, repeated and each one slightly different, yet all striving for perfect harmony, perfect balance. The sound of the brush on the paper almost silent, a soft whisper, a gentle whisper, the smooth glide, the fine line, the way the ink blossoms on the rice paper, a lifetime of practice, a lifetime of learning through repetition, the calm focus of that master, the steady breathing, the quiet mind, just the brush and the ink and the paper, a singular purpose, a devotion to the beauty of the stroke itself, not just the finished character, but the act of creating it, the gentle flow of the ink, the subtle curve, the perfect weight, the many, many identical strokes, one after another, after another, after another, building a lifetime of wisdom, a lifetime of skill, through the unhurried motion, the simple motion, the same motion, over and over, and as you drift you see the stars, the endless stars above the master's quiet studio, the stars watching the steady hand, the stars watching the repetitive brush strokes, the stars watching the lifetime of practice, each star a tiny point of light, a tiny repetition in the vastness, shining softly in the quiet night, shining softly, softly shining, softly drifting, drifting softly under the stars, the many, many stars, the endless stars. You simply watch. The master's hand moves, a slow dance of ink and paper, the brush hair soft against the surface, a whispered sound of creation. You see the dark ink bloom, expanding on the pale paper, a gentle unfurling, a lifetime of practice in each stroke. You breathe in slowly, deeply, your own steady breathing, a quiet rhythm, matching the master's quiet focus. The lantern sways just a little, a soft glow on the master's robes, the fabric smooth and simple. You notice the subtle shifts of shadow on the wooden table before you, the master's leather wrist rest worn smooth from countless hours of patient work. Outside, a gentle water movement nearby, a distant stream perhaps, or a quiet pond. It's murmuring a soft lullaby. The fire crackle from a small brazier, a comforting warmth in the cool air. You feel the heat softly against your skin, a reminder of home, of comfort. The master finishes another character, each line perfect, each curve flowing, a quiet beauty you absorb. You simply watch and let your own thoughts drift. Like wisps of smoke in the evening air, they simply float away. No need to hold onto them. You let them go as the master lets go of each stroke, trusting the flow, trusting the moment. This journey has been long and peaceful, a journey through time and quiet wisdom. You have seen so much. You have felt so much calm. Now the path gently ends here, in this peaceful space, with the sound of the brush and the soft fire crackle. The lantern sways a little more, its light a beacon of rest. You feel your eyelids grow heavy, a natural, beautiful heaviness. You simply close your eyes if you wish, or watch the light until it blurs into soft colors behind your lids. The journey is complete. The stories have been told. Now is the time for stillness, for deep, quiet rest. You let your body soften, into the embrace of your own space. The soft fabric around you, the sturdy wood beneath you, all supporting you, all holding you gently. Your steady breathing continues, a beautiful rhythm of peace, in and out, slow and deep. You are safe, you are warm, you are perfectly calm. The stars begin to appear, just beyond the window, if you look, tiny pinpricks of light in the vast darkness, each one a distant whisper of peace. They watch over you as you drift deeper and deeper into soft, heavy sleep. You simply breathe. You simply rest. Let every muscle relax, from your toes to the crown of your head. Let every thought unwind and float away into the quiet night. The sound of the brush fades. The fire crackle becomes a distant memory. Only peace remains. Only quiet calm. You are ready to sleep. A deep, peaceful, unbroken sleep. Every of you is softening. Every of you is letting go. You breathe in peace. You breathe out any lingering tension. A gentle ebb and flow, like the quiet water movement, a steady, soothing rhythm. You are drifting now, further and further down, into the softest, most comfortable sleep. Your body feels light, yet deeply rooted in peace. The lantern still sways in your mind's eye, a gentle, comforting rhythm, a guide to deep slumber. You are safe. You are warm. You are completely at rest. Let yourself melt into the night, into the deep, dark peace of absolute quiet sleep. The journey softly ends. A whisper on the night air. You find your final resting place, a quiet space where ancient wood breathes low and welcomes you. The gentle creak of a wooden gate, a soft sigh. It closes behind you. You are here. You have arrived. The air here, cool and still, carries the faint aroma of pine and cypress, wood smoke, a comforting scent. It curls and dances, a wisp of welcome from a distant hearth. A fire crackle, soft and low, a faraway warmth, calling you deeper into peace. Your hand finds the smooth, worn leather of your satchel. You set it down with care. The soft thud, a final sound of your journey's end. Your fingers brush the rough, woven wool of your tunic. It has kept you warm. It has been a faithful companion. The fabric soft against your skin, a familiar comfort. As you stand and let the quiet settle, the lantern you carry, it sways a little still, a gentle arc of light, dancing on the dusty ground, then slowing to a soft, steady glow. It casts long shadows. They stretch and shrink, a quiet play on the wooden beams above. A soft hum of stillness enters your spirit. You feel the ground beneath your feet, solid and true, a sense of belonging. You have walked far. You have seen much. Your steady breathing now deepens further, a slow, steady rhythm, in and out, a natural pulse, connecting you to the earth. Beside you, a small stream, its water movement, a constant lullaby. It flows over smooth river stones, a gentle murmur, A soft whisper, it sings a timeless song, a song of peace, of endless movement, yet unending calm. The sound it wraps around you, a soft blanket of natural sound. You find a place to rest, a simple wooden bench, worn smooth by countless moments of quiet contemplation. You settle down, the wood cool beneath your palms, a solid anchor, your back against a smooth wooden post. The journey fades, like mist at dawn, leaving only the present moment, soft and clear. Look up now, the velvet sky above, scattered with countless stars. They glitter like scattered diamonds, a vast expanse of calm, each star a tiny lamp, guiding you deeper into the quiet embrace of the night. The light of the stars, it washes over you, a gentle balm for tired eyes. The fire crackle from the hearth, it drifts on the wind, a warm memory, a distant presence. You hear the water movement, its gentle current, a constant flow, a reminder of life's journey, always moving, always finding its way to a place of rest, of quiet reflection. Your own breath, it keeps its steady rhythm, a rising and falling tide. Within you, you feel the wool of your clothing, soft against your skin, a protection, a comfort. You feel the sturdy wood beneath you, around you, a natural shelter from the world outside. The lantern sways no more. It hangs still, its light a constant beacon, a soft glow, inviting you to release all thoughts, all cares. The leather of your satchel rests beside you, its purpose fulfilled, its contents waiting for a new day, a new beginning. But for now, there is only this moment, this deep calm, this profound peace. You have completed your journey, your inner journey, your outer journey. All have found their end in this still place, this quiet sanctuary, under the watchful gaze of the stars. The fire crackle, the water movement, they guide you deeper into rest, your breathing steady, your heart at peace. Let the world beyond melt away. Let your thoughts drift like clouds in the endless sky. You are safe. You are warm. You are held by the quiet beauty of this ancient place. The scent of wood smoke, a final comforting touch. Your wool garments, a gentle embrace. Sleep now, beloved friend. Sleep deep and soft. Under the vast expanse of the night, you feel the quiet deepen now, a soft stillness gathering all around. The distant water movement, a gentle murmur, a constant companion in the quiet night. You remember the long path, each step taken, each sight observed, each sound a memory, now all fading softly into this tranquil space. The lantern sways its final languid arc, casting long shadows that stretch and fade. Across the wooden beams, the fire crackle, a low comforting sound, a whisper of warmth, a soft good night. You settle deeper into the soft fabric, the worn texture beneath your fingers, a familiar comfort, the smell of wood and a hint of leather still lingering in the air, a testament to journeys shared, to stories softly told. Your breathing begins to slow, a steady rhythm, a gentle wave, rising and falling with each calm intake of air, each soft release. You feel the tension leave your shoulders, a slow unclenching, a letting go from your fingertips to the soles of your feet. The world outside recedes like a distant dream, a fading echo. The stars begin to pepper the vast sky. Through a window or an opening above, each tiny light a pinprick of peace, a promise of slumber. You watch them glimmer, a silent dance. As your eyelids grow heavy, your thoughts become soft clouds, drifting lazily across your mind. No need to hold them, no need to chase them. Just let them float by, like wisps of smoke from the dying fire. The gentle crackle, a last lullaby. The water movement, a soft caress. The lantern sways just a little more, its light now dimming, almost a memory itself. You are wrapped in warmth, a soft cocoon of peace, your body sinking deeper into the welcoming embrace of this quiet moment, this sacred space. The wood beneath you holds you safe. The fabric surrounds you with tenderness. The air itself seems to breathe with you, a shared rhythm, a shared peace. Let go of all the day's echoes. Let go of all the journey's traces. They have brought you here, to this very moment, to this gentle. Your breathing is soft, and even now, a deep river flowing calmly towards the vast ocean of sleep. You are safe. You are warm. You are held. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to seek, only to rest, to surrender to the quiet pull, the soft invitation of deep, deep slumber. Let your mind drift. Let your body relax. Let your spirit be still. The stars watch over you. The fire guards your dreams. The water sings you to sleep. This journey ends here, and your true rest begins. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep in peace until the gentle rise of a new calm light